heal up real quick. Jeez Louise. What an adventurous beginning we have so far. Could go to this stairway and explore upwards, hoping to find another downstairs so we could just, you know, kick the can down the road, deal with this problem at a later date. That's not horrible. But in worst case scenario, the ogre's right next to us when we hop down. On the other hand, we saw that the steam dragon moved away from this stairway. So I think what I would prefer to do is actually head down here and hope that everyone kind of was following the noise that we were making on our little jaunt there. And we can instead just head up this way. Again, we're just looking for some downstairs, friend. Hey, that's a downstairs. Maybe I'll check out this cool looking area first. Nice altar to Fethasmadash there. Okay. Oh my gosh. This game takes no prisoners today. Menkar, not horrible. Pain does not affect us. Torment does not affect us. Haste is the only real thing that does. Actually, yeah, you're not a problem whatsoever. It's mostly how many slimes are off screen here. And even one of these is scary, which is not good. When even the baby slime is looking extremely dangerous, you know you're not in a great spot. Not ideal, at the very least. So let us bring our new friends upstairs. In fact, maybe take them to a hallway instead of fighting like that. Might be a good idea. Jeez Louise. What kind of sword did you have? Protection. Ah, I see. And otherwise, Menkar shouldn't be too much of a problem. I lied. With haste, you are brutal. So let's heal up. And instead switch over to using Wand of Flame. Menkar is at least weak to flame, so this should do slightly more damage as long as we get the hits off. Beautiful. And then we've made some noise, which scares me, because downstairs here is probably suicide. So in order to heal up, I am going to just risk heading back to this stairway. Do that real quick. Of course, immediately see some new friends. And you know what? It's starting to get to the point where we just have to face the lesser of the evils that are arrayed before us as we get absolutely slammed by this warrior. One more early healing potion, all we can really do, and then let's let our summons maybe finish the job for us. Jeez Louise. There's some plate armor, so I'm going to pick that up right away. +0 Vorpal flail here. Not too much to change my plans here, but we can now freely explore this floor a little bit more. Fortunately, not finding any new stairways, of course. I was hoping for maybe a trapdoor that could get us out of this pickle. Alack, alas, 'tis what it is. So let's instead just keep doing little peeks downstairs. We're looking for the third downstairs now. And this one's got to be better, right? It's not like every floor can have out-of-depth monsters, right? That would just be ridiculous. So let's bring you in one at a time. And in fact, we could just head down this stairway. This one has Pickle at the bottom. Could maybe take Pickle. It's not great. It's probably better than anything we're facing currently. Can always start randomly chugging potions back, if worse comes to worse. So let's maybe open up with a heroism. Let's try it here. Gonna dodge into a corner, which is a little bit scary, but as long as we can kill Pickle, all lemurs will disappear. Perfect. We also get a level up. Love to see it. And okay, we might have broken our way in here, but it's not over yet with this Kobold Brigand. Game's really not making it easy for us here. Could bring these friends upstairs, but we run the risk of drawing more attention to us. That is more of the same attention that we were already dealing with up here. The one advantage to going upstairs is we can get into hallways. Actually face these buddies one-on-one instead of getting absolutely surrounded. So let's maybe try to bring this buddy up with us down into our territory here. What if you... Oh my gosh, no. Steam Dragon, no. Stop. You weren't supposed to come this way. New plan. Kobold Buddy just is going to throw darts at us. We're going to leave them. Back ourselves into a corner, which again, not always a great call, but there's no way I'm going up this stairway. I think that just kills us. And instead, let's see you. 1 damage plus your short sword, 1 damage plus your club. Don't think we're 1 hit away from death, even though it's getting close. Okay, there we go. Slowly but surely, we're maybe eking our way back into the game here. Depends on what we run across over the next little bit here, of course. Bunch of orc friends. Not as bad as they otherwise might be, if the orc wizards go invisible, we're able to see them. And fortunately that confuse didn't hit us until a bit later in the fight, which we're very lucky with. And oh me oh my, let's just keep it going here. Centaur without many hiding places. Let's hope that they don't take us out on our way around the corner, and then we should be fine. Perfect. Again, never didn't have it, or anything like that. And the unluckiest ghoul in the world is somehow still alive. We also were actually able to get 1 more scroll of identify, so I should use that as soon as possible here, and we finally see the McLeb altar that I was so searching for now. But that's fine. Okawaru, totally fine by me. Should do us well. And let's keep identifying some scrolls. Scroll of Fear will get us out of a pickle, at the very least, so I do love to see that. It's usually a good solution, especially early on here, for just getting all of the enemies to back off for a bit. And here we are back to the slimes. Now down to just dangerous, so they're to the yellow color instead of red. Still not fantastic, to say the least. Wee bit concerned. Scroll of Fear would save us, but I would like to not use that up if possible. So I ran away there, hoping that just 1 slime would follow us. Oh my gosh. Of course, the orc has an Ice Blast wand, which, no problem for us. We have resistance to cold innately. That's awesome. Unfortunately, though, it creates a whole lot of noise if we look at this bar here. So, all those slimes are coming our way. That's fantastic. Shall I play the Stairway Lottery 1 last time here? We're skipping a lot of floors, which is not great. You want to be getting as much experience as you can on each of these. But it's whatever keeps us alive at the end of the day. So we could risk it. Use potentially our Scroll of Fear at the bottom of the stairs to get us out of a bad situation. In fact, I think I just might. Goodbye, cruel world. Ooh, another Scroll of Fear at the bottom of this stairway. That's kind of nice. Now let's hope that you guys don't have too many scary friends, shall we? Don't confuse me, wizard. Perfect. You had a heartbreaking run today, died on D3 to an orc with a polearm with 2 unread scrolls of acquirement. He smote you, you converted, but his pal didn't see that way. That's really rough. That's the one thing. I love seeing the scrolls of acquirement earlier on in the dungeon. I think it's a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, it's pretty brutal, if just because... Don't go down the shaft, nice. If just because the heartbreak hits that much harder when you die that early on with that kind of loot in your bag. But this floor is looking pretty good to me. The main factor there is the fact that we have a room full of pits. So if we find an enemy that's too strong for us to take care of, we lead them back to that pit room, just drop them down. It's that easy. So let's keep exploring here and see what kind of nasty shenanigans we run into. I'm sure. You know what? I'm gonna risk opening this door if just to get closer to the centaur. Screw you, Maggie. What are you doing here? +2 Vorpal Axe. And that bolt of fire is gonna hit real hard. So we could use a Scroll of Fear at some point here to escape. But it's not ideal here. Right, can't move away from Maggie, but we can at least drop around this corner, bring her in towards us. Tried closing the door there, if just to bring the centaur one step closer. This heroism wouldn't be too bad here. We still have, again, Scroll of Fear to get ourselves out of this situation if I use it early enough. We just have to remember 39 potential damage off of Maggie's fireball. Relatively high damage off her axe alone. And depending on whether the centaur closes the distance with us or keeps trying to shoot us from afar, that's a bit of a variable bit of damage. So, without further ado, let us become a hero, and that will increase all of these skills nicely, even giving us more defensive skills as well, which you love to see. Centaur did also close the gap, which is good. Now Maggie, can I take you? If I'm up next to you and get lucky with hits and you don't use Bolt of Fire too many times, maybe. Scary stuff though, to say the least. But no time like the present. So I step out into her just to make sure that she doesn't hit us from afar. And perfect, we do manage to take her out with some lucky rolls there. And it gives us the ability to continue exploring this level of the dungeon at least. Finally, a level of the dungeon that we don't have to just leave for later. That's nice. Thank you so much, Captain Jambanar, for the follow. Appreciate it a whole lot. Nice to see you. For the first time. Maggie's dangerous unless you have RF? Indeed, yeah. That 3D13, not great. For sure. You recently got into DCSS, so watching me has been a lot of fun. Do I recommend any good resources for learning the games and controls? Definitely, yeah. My favorite resource to recommend is definitely the a series of guides made by Ultraviolent 4, which is a creator who's been a part of the community for a long time. Unfortunately, recently absent. But they have a really great overall guide to the game. I think it's called Patushu's Tactics Guide or something like that. If you look up Ultraviolent 4 guide, I'm sure it pops up right away. But I highly recommend their content for learning the game. Hugely helpful, extremely knowledgeable person, and that tactics guide alone covers a lot of the more subtle aspects of the game that most really brief overviews wouldn't potentially mention. Though, of course, just watching games and getting a bit more experience secondhand always helps out with games like these. There's so many things that you only really learn either by dying to them yourself or by seeing someone else die to them, or at least talk about it as they go through if it's someone who might be able to get by. But Ultraviolence 4's written guide that I just mentioned, as well as just all of their videos on YouTube, are an absolutely fantastic resource that I always highly recommend. Definitely a more consistent player than I am in many ways, which is why I like to suggest their stuff. Okay, so you deal like 20, right? 18, yeah, so pretty close. Have at least one hit, potentially a few if they don't roll well. And luckily yaks are very susceptible to fear. I wouldn't love using it against a single yak enemy, but at the end of the day, we do whatever we must to survive, right? So we can take a couple turns here, see how the dice roll, and in fact, well so far. Ooh, and of course you do this to me, game. Puts me right at 18 health, right at the threshold. So we just took 12 damage, we know. Ideally, we have some GDR based on our AC of 11, GDR being guaranteed damage reduction. Recently got changed to just be based off of our overall armor class here. But it's still looking risky to keep fighting here. It would bring us down to a frighteningly low health value. Jeez Louise. Stumbling over that word today. Still don't think I got the pronunciation quite as well as I'd like, because it's frighteningly. Adding too many suffixes onto the end and just making my brain absolutely shred itself in the attempts to say it. Should just pick a different word. That's the smart thing to do. But thought of that one too late for sure. 12 is less than 18. We can't possibly take more than 12. That's just science, indeed. It's the thing about random number generators, is you never know if it's really random. But fortunately, able to get out of that in one piece thanks to our frightening scroll there. Oh my gosh, game, what's your problem? Why you do this to me? I guess vampires usually scariest because of their negative damage and their invisibility, neither of which affects us. So maybe I shouldn't be complaining quite so much, as I get confused right away. I'm going to cure out of this confusion and hope that we can take this buddy out in relatively short order. Ooh, another confusion is not grand. Can't use all my curing scrolls on the first vampire we see, right? Sure, they're earlier than normal, but... Oof. I'm gonna try for a couple of lucky rolls. Perfect, we didn't have to waste our last curing. So yeah, with the confusion making us stumble around, or at least have a chance to stumble around, could have gone a whole lot worse there, but I relied on the fact that could maybe get a couple of lucky rolls, and in fact we did. Now if I can just get this Wyvern between us and the Centaur, that'd be grand, but oh me oh my. Let's heroism up, get the might of a hero that I very much need right now, and do some more quick maths. We're up to 20 damage, or potential damage off that son of a gun. You should at least come around next to us and just kick us instead of using your bow, so that's good. Let's try for a couple rolls here. Based on 100% escape and evade versus attack and slim chance of death, you almost always choose 100% escape and evade. I like to think that I would, but I know that's not true. I think there's a bit of a roll of the dice there where it depends on how far I am in the run and how risky I'm feeling on any given day, because so often I love just going with the I'm feeling lucky and taking that one slight chance. But in this series specifically, I've been trying to improve that side of my play and be a little more consistent at the very least. But let's see here. We again could use our final fear scroll to get out of this, but this is where we're really running into the cascading issue of having to have skipped so many early floors of the dungeon. Is each time we run into enemies, they're just going to be slightly more powerful relative to us than they might otherwise have been in a normal game, where we weren't, you know, constantly running away from D6 steam dragons and two-headed ogres left and right. But it's not the end of the world yet, and even if we have to use that final escape option, still can potentially get out of here in one piece. The flip side of that is that we could try reading like one more scroll, see if that gets us out of this. These could most likely are teleport scrolls, ideally at the very least, and we wouldn't die on one turn of reading it. So let's try it out. Okay, we get a noise scroll. That's the exact opposite of what I was looking for. And now we have to make another decision. Again, 23 damage is the max that we're looking at before we take AC into account. So ideally, not even that high. It means we can take a couple of turns. If we're able to kill the Centaur, we could get 1 to 10 health back, which is nice. Most likely we lose more than that in the turns it takes to kill them, but it's always the shot. And again, we might just have to fear scroll, but if we do, that's fine. And this moment won't make much of a difference on that. So let's take one turn. Ooh, I don't think we got the heal, unfortunately. We're still not one hit away from death, but it's getting close. Let's go for one more swing. Okay, and we did get the kill, so we were able to save our fear scroll for the next fight, which is good. As long as we're not one hit away from death, we had that in our back pocket. Very much relying on that in that last fight. But hey, it is what it is, and let's just do the best with what we're given, right? Slowly but surely, again, we're clawing our way back into this one. This is a bit scary of a fight, just because with a reaching weapon, we have to take an extra turn to run away. Though, of course, as always, that fear scroll is our secret weapon. Hello, my yakety friend. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that yaks are kind of dumb. Try and just apply poison from across the river here. We're going to run out of poison darts eventually, but we're getting there slowly but surely, and that might be enough poison to finish the yak off. Perfect. Oh me, oh my. What a wild ride this has been. Let's buy ID scrolls. Let's actually use both of our ID scrolls right away. Try and get some more potential tools at our disposal. Potion of Brilliance, probably not quite going to do it. Another scroll, giving us Scroll of Silence. The Silence Scroll is amazing against late game enemies. For now, not fantastic. But here we go, this is more like it. 2 Blinking Scrolls are exactly what I need, game. And I'm also going to buy a Teleportation Scroll right off the bat, as well as marking the Scroll of Acquirement as a future buy, and any armor upgrades in the same way. Last but not least, I might buy a couple more ID scrolls here. Spend most of our money, but that gives us some escape options, which is awesome, as well as potentially more depending on what we're able to identify here. Let's get the last 2 scrolls. We have Enchant Weapon and a Scroll of Torment, which is fantastic. Scrolls of Torment, usually something that I never use over the course of a 3-rune game at least, but hey, we're completely immune to Torment. Enemies, not so much. So this is going to be a very valuable tool for maybe fighting specific uniques, as long as they're not immune to Torment or don't have too much resistance to negative energy. That very much simplifies a potentially brutal fight. Let's see. Are we ready to face you? It's going to be scary, but we should be able to. I'm going to start with Heroism and some Poison Darts, hoping to get some extra damage. Okay, we just one-hit the troll. That's pretty sweet. And we have pretty awesome damage when we're able to take fights on our own terms, but in general, things get a little rough when we're just constantly on the back foot. So ideally, as we're slowly recovering here, we'll get to a slightly better place in our lives. Need to be careful here as we have a reach weapon once more, but we can force them into close range using the nice hooked corner there. And all is well that ends well. Let's keep it moving. Early scroll or Wand of Paralysis might do wonders as well. And let's start mixing up things. Unarmed combat, haven't ran into any nice artifacts so far, so I'm going to turn it back on. On the other side of it, let's start training some defensive skills, bringing up our armor. And I want to start training evocations and probably invocations as well. Helps with our god abilities and any of these wands that we're starting to pick up now. Though maybe I'll leave evocations just on low priority for the time being until we see it hit, or until we pick up an item that might benefit slightly more from its upgrades. And perfect. Resistance from fire actually brings us to pretty solid overall resistances. Electricity damage, still potentially scary, as we are getting to the stage where we might start running into a few of those wormy friends. But okie dokie. Troll skin and ghouls. It would be fitting to wear, would it not? But unfortunately, we don't gain quite as much of an advantage for wearing said skin, if just because we will not be able to use that regeneration mid-fight whatsoever. I don't love running into Gastronach this early in a run. That is quite scary in its own right. We actually, yeah, you know what, if you're going to put us into sight of them again, let's check it out. The main issue here is being their airstrike and how much damage that can hit us for. Plus, if we get slowed, then we're no longer able to just run away. Because normally, a fight against Gastronach, kind of nice. You can just run away at any time. They're slow as all get up slug. But if they make us match them, then this 40 damage bite and constant airstrikes, plus their ability to sprint, not looking great for us. So, gonna say goodbye once more, and let's check out the last stairway. Oh, there is not another stairway. Fascinating. So we're not going down to D10 until we take out Gastronach. I think we might have to go upstairs then. We could go into Lair. Probably not horrible. We could take most of the threats in Lair at the very least. But I would like to get slightly stronger before doing so. Main way to do that would be to take out some of these other threats. Let's check up some more stairs here. This stairway actually looks kind of safe. Who knows what's in those shadows though? Oh, do we face Steamy the Magic Dragon and clean up the upper levels? I indeed think that is the only real call right now. This floor, not fantastic because those slimes... Well, hey, now we're in a spot where I can take on one little baby slime. But if they all group up and start merging, things will be a little bit sketchy to say the least. Let's see, everyone should have cleared here by now, but if not, it was just the Elite Kobold and the Steam Dragon. So... let's take you on one at a time, shall we? 1 and 2, perfect. I don't know how I feel about the two-headed ogre. We can probably take them, but we don't have very many escape options if things start to go poorly after engagement. So, I think instead I'm gonna look around here real quick for one more Orc Warrior. There you are, friend. Take them out, add another little bit of EXP to the pile here, and then let's take a look. Oh gosh. Sir, you're right there. Okay. 30% chance to paralyze, eh? It's not horrible. If we look at your damage here, you're probably dealing somewhere around 55 potential damage on a truly horrible hit. But it shouldn't get that bad. We've also seen from our own experiences against the troll that we can do at least 38 damage in one hit. So theoretically, we kill this buddy in 2 hits ourselves. Makes it a bit of an interesting fight to say the least, as each of us is on the equal footing. But I think ideally here, I'd like to re-escape to our stairs, head down to this other downstair. Oh my gosh, friend. This is not a fight you wanted to take. You should have just walked away, pal. But let's head here and start coming at this ogre from the other side, because if we can... That's not as much distance as I wanted. What I was going to say is that if we can gain some nice distance between us and the ogre, we could soften them up with some poison or something. Even try and blast that paralysis wand a couple of times. But I see how it is, game. Very cool. Not at all upset about it. Let's instead take this moccasin upstairs and head back to this stairway, and maybe this time have some distance between us and our new friend. Okay. Poison, poison, poison. Let's even let that play out a wee bit. And once they're a tiny bit closer here, I'm gonna try to apply paralysis once. And if it works, we step in and finish. If it doesn't, we have new decisions to make, but we should be able to fight for at least a couple turns. And we're almost at where the poison will kill them. Very close to where the poison will kill them. And not one hit away from dead, so let's just finish it. Awesome, okay. Slowly but surely, getting our feet back under us. Unfortunately, we did use a whole lot of health potions, or heal wounds, I guess, to be more explicit. Many heal wounds potions at the early stages of the game. And so, that does leave us at a little bit of a deficit in terms of solutions to some of our future woes here. Interesting. But not horrible, and oh my gosh, this is a very interesting bit of armor here. So base armor rating of 10, which means our AC remains unchanged. That's kind of sweet. Stop us from spellcasting, which we can't do yet anyway. Would protect us from acid and corrosion, 2 pips of willpower, and a bunch of stealth. That's fascinating. What a wild piece of equipment. Well, doesn't change our AC, so why wouldn't we? And in fact, we look like a badass, so you'd love to see that. And let's take a look. Oh my gosh, apparently all of the artifacts were hanging out on this floor. This one has vulnerability to fire, which makes me like it less than our current armor. So for the time being, let's just try this out, shall we? Even slightly more willing to run into these sons of guns. There you are. Let's switch over to Boomerang. Call some attention to us, ideally just 2 of you. Leave your other friends behind, please. This is not an open invitation, just a small get-together that I'm having here. Would prefer if not everyone came over. Perfect. A +3 ring mail of Quishap gives us evocable invisibility. Probably not worth it yet, but still appreciate the thought, Oka. Thank you so much. And now we're kind of using our stealth abilities to our advantage here, because each time enemies lose sight of us, they have a chance to forget that we exist. And by doing so, we're able to split these buddies up a little more than we otherwise might be able to, which is absolutely fantastic. Should probably use some throwing attacks while they close the gap, but still working out beautifully so far. Hello, friend. One at a time, please. Form an orderly queue, if you would be so kind. Oh gosh. Trying to just remain out of sight of these slimes so that we continue to heal. Oh, hey, puppy. Oh yes, right away. Give me a second boost. Need to feed this doggo right away here, so let's try and finish off this floor. And then we'll do that and then start heading towards lair. Hope that all continues to look up. Oh geez. Accidentally threw boomerang instead of attacking here. Still doing okay. We're a couple hits / a few hits away from death here. So, I think I'll pop on heroism. Take a couple of slashes with our own claws, and not too bad. Slowly but surely, eking out our place in this big old dungeon. So I hate that Ice Blast Wand. But hey, now we at least have 4 charges of that ourselves. It's a nice little bit of undodgeable damage, as well as some potential elemental damage that we may or may not be able to take advantage of. And with that, holy moly, finally looking to be in a half decent spot here. Let us go to the entrance of lair and contemplate our final moves before heading down. I am going to step out for just a couple seconds here, dump some food into this cute doggo's bowl, and then we'll head on down. Be right back. See ya. Okie dokie. And with that, we are just about ready. Final bit of note is going to be reading this identify scroll, getting another potion under our belt. Ooh, haste. Okay, that's very useful. Finally, another half-decent solution for what troubles may ail us. And we're getting pretty close to being able to cast Finesse too, so we'll keep this Invocations training up, and without further ado, let's head down, shall we? Blink Frog's a bit of a pain in the butt here. We may want to train up at least a little bit of throwing, if just to deal with these sons of guns. It's nice to be able to throw out these boomerangs and apply extra hits as they kind of bounce around us, just causing a bit of annoyance. At best, I guess. Some truly awful, dangerous situations at worst. But this unarmed combat definitely doing absolute wonders in terms of applied damage when we are able to engage them in the more traditional sense. The issue being when they make us jump around like that, kind of makes tabbing go out of the question. And in fact, you are like 20? You are 20. Thought that may be the case. Let's let you close the distance to me instead, and perfect. Not too shabby. But I have too many skills that I want trained up right now. I think I will turn off unarmed combat just for the time being, and in fact evocations as well, and let's instead switch over to throwing. Because throwing is something that is fully actionable right now. We have a half-decent number of boomerangs. We're also starting to gather up some javelins with our first couple there. So that does give us some potential ways of dealing with some of the other threats that we see here. Fortunately, relative to when we were playing as a troll, our level 1 claws on a ghoul will not cut off Hydra heads. So we can actually just fight Hydras the old-fashioned way, as long as we're comfortable. They don't have too many heads and we have a high enough AC. We should be able to do a half-decent job of just taking them on. Ooh, face-to-face, but an 8-headed Hydra? Not so comfortable with that, friend. They do 18 damage per head. So that's 64 plus 80, 144 damage. Oof. Big oofs. I mean, they are hit a little bit harder by our AC just because each of those 18 damage hits gets reduced, fortunately. But at the end of the day, still a bit of a scurry fight here. How do we wish to take this? We could go for some early Ice Blasts, see how that does for us. They have 71 health, and an Ice Blast wand does 3d9 damage. So even 4 blasts can just barely kill them, or can kill them if we have lucky rolls, I guess. But in no way guaranteed. Ideally, we could get a slow off, but that's also not necessarily going to happen. A 21% chance to paralyze is pretty solid. The only issue with it, even if it does work at this very low chance, is that we're right next to them, and if we can't kill them before it wears off, things are going to look a little sketchy. But I might try one blast, see how it goes. Fortunately, not great. We could try one more, and we still have our nice gap of space in order to run away if need be. And in fact, I think I will do so, and we'll just reset this fight. Let's just run away. I almost don't want to bring them back to our upstairs, if just because that will clog up lair entrance with an 8-headed Hydra, of course. Which means anytime we want to come back here in the future, we do have to contend with that and with them getting a free hit as we make our way down the stairs. So, what else could we do? Could knuckle in and fight. Finesse and heroism could do the trick. And combined with like a haste or something, could be nice, but not fantastic. Oh my gosh, they lucked out and got energy towards us as well. That's not great. So now we can no longer just lead them to the stairs, and instead we'll have to use the dispersal trap. In fact, Railbird, you just mentioned that, right? I saw the word dispersal in your message. Yeah, it looks like it. I think now that's the only answer in this case. I was originally debating just retreating for the time being and not worrying too much about it, but let's disperse. And now we can use our extra stealth to maybe just avoid that son of a gun for the time being and get the heck out of there. You got shafted from D7 to D10, then from D10 to D13 with the Centaur Warrior just in front of you. That is very rough, Gazarin. Definitely is always unfortunate to get the double 3-floor shaft. Absolutely brutal. Ooh, 8-headed Hydra, or 4-headed Hydra is much more manageable. I think we will try and fight a little bit. Start with Flame Blast. This is almost a good idea of how much damage we'll be taking too, because an 8-headed Hydra, twice as much damage as this. So theoretically we could win that fight, but we might have gotten very lucky with our rolls there as well. You'll have to let us know, Gazarin, if you manage to fight your way out of it. Because ideally you're close enough to the Centaur Warrior that you're able to take them out relatively fast. Though of course it depends on what type of character you're running and how lucky you've been up until that point. Hopefully you've amassed enough tools in order to get back out of the shafting situation, though I know from personal experience that that is not always the case. Okie dokie. Might do something a little bit risky here and continue exploring lair. Because I do like this, or I do like the idea of staying in this area for the time being. The only issue, of course, is if we ever have to escape upstairs, might run into an 8-headed Hydra. But let's just keep that in mind. Know that it's a potential issue and tuck it away for further use. I'm gonna take a turn to change out my rings here. Hopefully don't wake up the Hydra, because I just realized we might as well be wearing the Strength +6 ring. There's no reason not to. And then I'm gonna risk fighting this bad boy, and we should be okay against 5 heads. And in fact we are. Perfect. So we're not quite at the stage in the game where we're completely stuck by every Hydra that we run across. Though of course, still not fully ideal circumstances either, and let's actually split up this group of enemies, making sure that I move slightly slowly here, because I don't want to accidentally tab my way through a Blinking Frog's blinks towards an 8-headed Hydra, and you know how that ends, of course. Yeah, some rough shafts there. You've been there and feel your pain. The good news is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Indeed. And teaches you some new tricks, potentially. At least ideally. Though it's not always the case, unfortunately. Can't always be so lucky. There we go. And then let's take a step back. Okay, never mind. I guess we won't be healing up. That's cool and all. Now we will. Perfect. Was hoping to use the deep water at least a little bit to continue to take out these wolves, but apparently they tried to go around a different way and then gave up. Interesting. Seven-headed hydras also very interesting as well. Kind of BS, to be honest. Of course, found the upstairs, then found a berserker Rupert. Rip. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, when they cascade issues like that, it can definitely be a brutal situation. Not always a whole lot you can do about it. Oof. Okay, if I take a step downwards, the seven-headed hydra catches up to us. Welp. Here's where I'm gonna reach into my bag of tricks and hope that a teleport brings us somewhere favorable. That's not quite what I was thinking about, game, if I'm being completely honest with you. Let's see, I could step around this elephant. Take a few hits doing so, of course. At the end of the day, I want to use a blinking scroll if we think we're going to die. That's the important thing, because so often I save those far more than I should. But for now, I'm going to start with a teleport, take one step past the elephant. Okay, it went well. See where we land. Okay, not fantastic, but not the end of the world. Unfortunately, my ideal situation here would be to use a choke point like this. But as we well know, we got an elephant and a seven-headed hydra waiting for us down that a ways. So that might not be the smartest move. Could go for one more teleport, but who knows where that drops us at the end of the day. Save it to just a fear scroll, which definitely gets us out of this situation. But I'm actually not too worried about this situation itself. Wolves we can absolutely mow through with our unarmed combat, and if each one is healing us, and we can get one dead per turn with some good rolls, we can actually come out of this fight with better health than we came into it. Though of course, with caveats of being surrounded and all that, important to keep in mind. So what I may do is actually start with a finesse, and that increases our attack speed a whole lot here. And then, let's see. Fear Scroll definitely works for getting us out of this situation, no matter how deeply I embroil myself in it. So I'm not too worried about getting that right away. Instead, let's take a couple swings here. See how it goes. Not fantastic so far. Very not fantastic. So, may have to fear, but in fact, the sheer fact that the Sphere Scroll could save us against the Hydra has been holding me off. Just in case the Hydra and the Elephant came around the corner, I was hoping to use this. But, as is, we're looking pretty close to a near-death situation. 67% chances to hit us. Surrounded by 5 of those, and then just 10 damage from the Moccasin, not quite as bad. Fear and Teleport together does an okay job. I guess we could have used an interesting bit of Torment here. In fact, that's maybe how we'll take care of the 8-headed or the 7-headed Hydra. So we just need to survive this situation. And find an opportunity of some kind to get up to full health. Let's start with a Fear. Mix with a Teleport. Get one kill at the very least. And in fact, let's try and get one more kill. Maybe get another heal before the Teleport goes off. Perfect. One more. Oof. Okay. Back into scary territory. I'm going to move towards the Boulder Beetle, which is not great. But also, oh, we got, oh my gosh, a Condenser Vein. I want you so bad. Okay, who's going to win this race? I'm afraid it's going to be you. If you hit us, we might die. In fact, probably do die. Out of the frying pan and into the fire, indeed. If I take one step back and the elephant makes it into the gap, we have a chance. You're saying there's a shot. Oh, the boulder beetle made it, and in fact did kill us. Holy moly. So what I should have done was probably just use a blink scroll. That would have been the smart thing, right, gang? Blink scroll, even mixed with a haste, truly gone ourselves a few more turns to deal with this. But I risked it all on one step, and there we are. The first really unfortunate death for our ghouls of the day. Of course, not the end of the world, even with a nice Shadow Scales artifact. Can't win them all, to say the very least. Boulder Beetle's like a homing missile. Indeed they are. That's why I was hoping for an elephant to beat them into the gap, because fortunately, even though they roll fast, they don't actually take a turn sooner, I didn't think, at least, based on my historic experiences. Anecdotal, I guess, experiences is the better way to phrase that. But yeah, the main issue is dying with these blinks. There's no reason for me to risk it. At the end of the day, I always roll the dice, and it's not great.